Time for what?
Time for what?
Experience in college.
Time for reinforcement.
Time for liftoff!
Where nothing is impossible unless you think it is impossible.
College.
I have my college scholarship.
Yes. Boom.
College ran by real fast.
You hung in with the best college.
First time for everything.
Well, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Let's do this thing.
Genius, let's do this thing! Welcome everyone to the show. We are back, but this time we're going to talk about one part of college admissions most students overlook, but most adults have to deal with one way or the other, and they are interviews. Yes, college interviews are out there, and no different than why an employer would want to do an interview. They want to just get a sense of who you are. Your application talks about your achievement, but not the vibe, not the sense of what type of person you're going to be in the dorm room, in the classroom, in the activities. So Mia is with us today. So with Mia, we're going to ask her, what did you think the first time you heard about that there were college interviews?
Well, at first I was kind of shocked because I thought it was like an invite-only thing, which for some schools I know it is, but it's open for most schools. You can just sign up and you have that interview, which I thought was specifically for people who they were going to accept.
No, and you're absolutely right. So not all colleges do interviews. Some highly selective schools, after you apply, do interviews. Do you know that they're not guaranteed, those schools that do that?
I know that.
So Georgetown, for example, if you don't do a search in part one of their application, they don't do it. Or if it's a challenge for them, find an alumni or someone to interview with you, so they don't guarantee it because of lack of staffing or just shortage because there's so many applicants out there. But you, like you just mentioned, there are some colleges that you just sign up for. So you said you went on the web and then you did what?
I mean, you really just only had to search interviews for this college undergraduate admissions. And about 99.9% of the time, you won't have to do some digging. Some college websites are a little iffy, but usually it'll be the first tab that pops up, or you go to contact us, schedule an interview, and it usually would be right there. So it's honestly not as hard as you may think.
No, I think that the hard part is the first time one interviews. What was really smart about you is like, okay, this is in a different time zone, like what am I doing? Or, oh my gosh, like where's a quiet room can I find, right? And you were really successful of getting that quiet area to do your interview. Tell us. I know you did 2 interviews. How did they go?
For me personally, I think it went well. I was really scared in the beginning because I didn't know how formal it was going to be, but it turned out to be super informal. Both of them that I had were Marva. It was really a let's get to know each other type of interview. It was really a conversation between 2 people. The first one I had, she asked very simple questions. Why do you want to go to this school? How have you heard about the school? What are you planning on doing at this school? And then it was like, tell me about your extracurricular activities. What do you like to do? It was really like a conversation. And my second one was basically the same way, except she kind of asked like other things, what do you want to do in the future? What do you hope to do? Like, what are your hopes and dreams? What job do you want to have? They really just want to get to know you. And it's your chance to show off your personality. Like one thing I did, which I did by accident, but I made one of my interviewers laugh super duper hard. And I was like, okay, like this is just me and you talking, like honestly.
See, and that's the best way, right? It's just having that open heart and just being yourself, while you're going through that entire process. But did you prep in any way for any of these interviews?
Yeah, well, of course, beforehand, I searched up what specific programs I really want to join at that school, because it's good to give specific examples. Like if you want to go into STEM, search what specific major, search what classes you're interested in, or search like what clubs they have, what intramural sports if they have any. And it's always an interest, like they want to know your interests. So by you showing that you've researched what your interests are at the school, it's showing that you put an effort.
No, and I think it's important that you have a response. Even if they're like, well, what do you want to do in the future? It's like, well, that's why I'm going to your school. I don't know right now, but I know you have this career center to guide me or this opportunity. So did you feel like you had to have exact answers, like it's only black and white?
No exact answers, because it's also there for you to ask questions. So if you truly don't know, something about something very specific, you can always ask them. I heard about this. Can you tell me more?
Yeah, and I'm sure you asked them, like you say, like tell them more, but you had some other specific questions like prepped ready for them, right? Like two
Yes,
questions. Yeah.
Yes.
Did that impress them?
It did.
Yeah.
Because apparently no one asked, I got told that no one asked the questions that I was asking. And I was like, what? These are like basic questions, but whatever.
You'll be surprised. A lot of people don't prep before, like even like on anything. So it's great that you have. So if there's a student out there who is getting ready for an interview, like we already know, not all colleges offer it. So they could search under admissions, check if they do offer it or not. You could schedule it maybe later. Also, some websites are not really clear. So you can also email or call the admissions office and ask them. But suggestions for students as they prepare to go into the interview.
Just be yourself. That's all I could say. Like, there's no need to be uptight because they can tell. Even through Zoom, they can tell when you're trying to give a perfect answer, when you're not like continuing, like when you cut your answer short, they're going to ask you, oh, what else? So there's no need to like cut yourself short. Just keep going. Even if you ramble on for a little bit, it shows interest. So, I mean, I would really just say be yourself. Of course, look into the programs that you want. Look into the club. I have questions prepared because they really just want to know you and your interest in school.
Yeah, and I do know there's some people out there, whether you're a student or adult, who get super nervous on interviews. I know I do. If you have the opportunity, practice with somebody else, a mock interview, ask your counselor if they could do that, or just kind of schedule, school that you're least nervous about in an interview, do them first. And then as you do it, like the second one, did you feel like you were a pro already?
I felt like not necessarily pro, but it was a lot less nerve-wracking the second time.
I love that modesty. No wonder why they adored you. No wonder why. And just remember, everyone, interviews don't make or break you. It's, as they say, the holistic process. They look at all aspects of that. So just keep that in mind. But those notes do get calculated in the application process. So just know a lot of them are just definitely optional. So, but if you feel that you're going to be comfortable, go do it.
Why not? They're really like, other than timing, like it can't hurt you. It really can't.
No, to be honest, my training back in the days as a career counselor is that even like if I'm very happy with my job, it's important to go out there and just practice doing interviews. You could get rusty on there. So it's important. Everyone does it, whether it's a college application or a job. Interviews are really key, especially later on in your career. So trust me, interviews are really, really important. And Mia, we're going to ask you a question that let's just pretend came up in your interview. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. She says with hesitation. So here's the example. Mia's a little bit nervous, and maybe she brought up a topic that I'm just a little bit interested in. And I'm going to say, so Mia, you talked about Ironheart, the character in the comic books from Marvel. How did you get into that?
Well, I've always been a fan of Marvel, like I said. I remember watching the Avengers movies when they first came out in 2011, 2012. And so I got into the comics and I realized, there's not many POC women in comic books. But in 2016, there's a comic release called Ironheart. And Ironheart is this super genius, young 15-year-old Black woman who adores Tony Stark and wants to be like Tony Stark. And I found that amazing. Someone who wants to be an engineer, who wants to go into STEM, and who looks like me, like that's just amazing. I thought it was amazing, and I fell in love with the series, and I'm excited they're making a show. It's going to be amazing, but just having that representation and having someone who's like me, who wants to go into STEM, who is working to be like a hero in a sense, and I just found that amazing because there wasn't really many POC women superheroes, especially those who are focused on engineering or do things like Iron Man and Ironheart, obviously. So it was just passion, great passion.
So wait, so how many comics do you have that have Ironheart in it?
I believe I have 5 or 6.
5 or 6. So you have the whole series, like the graphic novel too?
Not the whole series. I think I'm missing a few.
So Mia, I know you have some comic books out there. Do you also have, as some people call, the merch on Ironheart?
Yes, I have some merch. I actually am ordering Ironheart shirt soon. I've convinced my mom to get me some. So I will be wearing that to school probably a lot. I have a keychain and I need more because sometimes it can be hard to find some specific merch when the show's not out yet. But no, I'm working on it. My
Okay, I have
collection.
to give you some of my connections of this artist who is a Black owner who makes his own designs. So I haven't seen Ironheart, but maybe I'll see it later on. And before we get too geeked out, nerd out about this, because I love comic books in general, and Ironheart is so cool. One of the things that Mia did wonderful, asking an off-topic question, which again, I'm going to mention to you guys. I've seen students talk about gaming or just something about a show with the rep. We heard Mia's passion. We heard about something that was important to her. She linked it to other things that was totally relatable in her own life. If you know Mia, it just totally linked and it made sense and she was engaged. And so missions interview asking you something off topic, it goes back to what Mia says, just be yourself, because that's the best self you can be. And then here's another example. If she decided to use this on a personal statement prompt, there's so many questions out there, whether it's a UC or comment out, topic of your choice. Yeah, she could have, Mia, couldn't you gone on about misrepresentation?
Explaining the plot of comic book lore, like, it sounds like a great essay to me.
It sounds like a great essay to me too, right? But it's more about your personality. And some people are like, oh, that's a hook, or I could steal that. If you try to steal an idea that's not part of who you are, it's not that great. But what's really important is for you realize your greatness, no matter if it's a comic book, whether it's an experience, a family responsibility, whatever it is. So what are your thoughts about off-topic questions, whether for interview or you writing about it on one of your statements?
I mean, I kind of like them because it's not, a lot of them aren't specific to the school. You have a chance to talk about whatever you want, which sometimes you don't get in college applications. You have to stick to a prompt. Or when you're in an interview, them just asking about a TV show or the comic books or whatever is just a chance for you to tell what you like in a non-academic sense, which can be hard to find sometimes when you're doing college applications.
No, and that's something that's so important because remember, they're looking at you, will you be successful in the classroom, but with your roommate and other guests. So do not hesitate to speak about topics that you love. And one topic I always love to talk about and with someone is that person is Mia. So Mia, thank you again for all your wonderful stories in your college admissions journey. And until next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your precious day to listen to us. So subscribe so that you could download this podcast wherever you may be. We're on so many different streaming devices, but also you can find out more information about College for All at college4all.com. We're also on Twitter at collegeforall.amv, Instagram collegeforall.amv, and more to come. Thank you and have an amazing day.